Alright. It is 90s Thor, and it's not even the 90s anymore. This is from 2011. The much anticipated return of 90s Thor by not bringing back 90s Thor. Instead, his son takes up the mantle of 90s Thor. He becomes 90s Thor Jr., I suppose. 90s Thor's son has grown up. He is a teenager now. I never get bogged down in the sliding timescale of the Marvel Universe. And I think anyone who does is a funless twat. That is how Americans say twat. This is by Tom Falcon and Ron French, co-creators and co-conspirators of the 90s Thor character. And this idea of making his son into 90s Thor, it was precluded by them doing the same basic thing in the McTwo universe. In that, the son had grown up and become 90s Thor. But this isn't a pale imitation of that. Instead, it is a pale divergence from what they did there. 90s Thor's son is acting out at school, and he is being a prick to everyone. And speaking of pricks, they do a prick-faced turn with the stepdad character here. Go and watch my review of 90s Thor issue 2. The stepdad was hitting his mum, and now they are happily married, and he is a responsible adult. I think they forgot that he was a wife beater. So then we get a quick recap of 90s Thor's life, and they have put the Vision in the wrong costume. The son is really down on superheroes and his real dad. He thinks they are a bunch of suckers. See, I am not alone in my belief that 90s Thor was too often written as being an oath. I do mention a lot that 90s Thor is like the worst at being a superhero, but I didn't mind him. I think his character has his problems, and this new version of 90s Thor is fine, but this series suffers from what should be known as the Michael Bryan Benson clause. The truth is, if you ever introduced a new character in the Marvel Universe between the years 2002 and 2012, regardless of how popular, acclaimed, or successful it is, if it isn't adopted by Michael Bryan Benson, it is never going to be seen again. It is never going to get a push. It's never going to have further stories. That is what happened here. This new character appears in the background of a few issues of Avengers University after this, and that is it. I think they brought him back more recently, but we're talking nearly 10 years after this introduction. And what happens is Captain America meets up with 90s Thor's son because the Avengers have been holding on to something that is his when he is old enough to have it. Something that used to belong to his dad. I wonder what it is. Yeah, that is right. It is his magic hammer, which is actually a magic mace. This is more or less the same setup as the Mach2 version. The Avengers have his dad's mace, and when he comes of age, he is given it. But the main difference between the two versions is that this character is a punk brat with daddy issues. So when he picks up the magic mace, it doesn't even trigger a transformation. Captain America, however, believes that they should let 90s Thor's son come into his own, and maybe he will work out how to channel its powers by himself, and he will learn responsibility and a little bit about himself along the way. And maybe he can eventually be half as good as his father. Half of nothing is still nothing, Steve. So the wee lad gans home, but ends up in the radius of Rhino Man attacking an armoured truck. Now, I wasn't reading the Spider-Man books at this point, but Rhino Man seems written incredibly out of character. He is very Russian propaganda freedom fighter here. Is this something that happened? Did Dan Slott have Rhino Man get red pilled or whatever? So obviously this is the exact scenario that was needed to show the kid that he cannot just stand by and be passive-aggressively cynical about everyone. And he ends up using the magic mace, and it transforms him into 90s Thor. Meanwhile, a bad guy notices the energy surge. And then down here in Fairyland, we will get more about them in this issue's backup story. So here is the new 90s Thor fighting Rhino Man. And in all honesty, he does a lot better than his dad would have. He still loses the fight in the end, but it is understandable because it is his first time. But he lasts longer, a lot longer, than his dad did against Juggernaut. When his dad got into a fight with Juggernaut just walked over him, literally. Just walked on top of him to get by him. It was a one-page fight. This is a several-page fight, and yeah, he gets beat, but it's not due to being an idiot. Then we have a backup story set in Fairyland, and it expands on that one bit we saw a few pages ago. It is basically just a detailed recap of the original 90s Thor's history, how he became 90s Thor, stuff like that. Thor, he killed Tom Hiddleston, and he was sent to hell. So then we got 90s Thor to replace him. And eventually the real Thor came back. And 90s Thor got a redesign, and then another redesign, and then he died, sacrificing himself so that everybody else could be saved. And now we have a warrior woman from Fairyland called Brunhilde, who is definitely named after Marky Mark, She is sent to Earth to mentor the new 90s Thor. She is on the cover of the next issue. This is a competent introduction to a character that I think had more legs than Marvel thought he did. 90s Thor might not be the greatest legacy in the world, but it is a legacy worth maintaining. It doesn't have to be a rubbish guy who falls over things. And I think this character probably should have joined an Avengers team rather than be relegated to comic book limbo. 7 thumbs up.